Hello there. Thank you for joining me and welcome to Whole Brain and Healing Show. This is part two of a three-part series of Ayurveda with holistic living. We are doing this in conjunction with Self Care Friday of the Be Well series. So for those of you joining in for the very first time, welcome to the Be Well COVID-19 Free Wellbeing series. I am Joy Ling from Singapore and I'm a positive hypnotherapist, also known as the Superpower Activator. I use positive psychology tools and hypnotherapy to empower people to live whole brain, strength based living. Now, our brain is a wellspring of our feelings, behaviors, and experiences. Besides developing your character and your prevalent strengths, learning to tap on all the potential of your brain unleashes your best and stronger self. Therapy can support us in feeling whole again to make unleashing our strengths into the world more compelling. So join in my conversations with experts in neuroscience, holistic living, and psychotherapy in this show, Whole Brain and Healing with Joy Show. This Be Well COVID-19 Free Wellbeing series is in support of the World Health Organization. Stay in alignment with your well-being and be supported by our Be Well series. We are doing this to support your well being in this pandemic, and more importantly, because we believed you deserve a flourishing life and you have what it takes to achieve that. And we are here to support you to do exactly that. That is our promise in joy. So please share this Facebook Live right now with your friends so that we can all be well and be strong together. So this is how we're going to deliver our promise of support. It includes a Strengths and Joy podcast, which is available on Spotify and on Anchor FM. There is a We Are Healthy, Well, and Connected Facebook page. We also have a private Strengths and Joy podcast Facebook group. And we have a Superpact Joiling YouTube channel. There is new content on Super Monday, Resilient Wednesday, and Self Care Friday. On this page, Superpact with Joy Method page. We also have various shows to support you, such as the Strengths with Joy show, Whole Brain and Healing show, which is this one, and Celebrating She is Strong. Super Monday is where we will explore how to develop your strengths. So make your Mondays super powered with me. Now, in this pandemic, resilient is the name of the game. So apply science-based research findings into actionable strategies that you can use and share with your family and friends so that we can all become more resilient and let's be pandemic proof together. On Self Care Friday is where we will learn tools and techniques that we can apply for ourselves whenever we feel stressed. Take responsibility for your own self care and for those under your care. The Strengths with Joy show is where we chat with positive psychology practitioners about how they have been using positive psychology in their work and in their personal life. So remember to share this free support resources, share our Facebook Live now so that your friends can learn self care techniques together with you. And so we women are phenomenally and amazingly strong in how they activate their strengths daily, faithfully in loving service of the people around them, often at the cost of neglecting their own well-being. It is time to celebrate the strengths of this phenomenal woman that we live with, work with, and come in contact with. So celebrating She is Strong show is an acknowledgement of their contributions to all. Welcome to Self Care Friday, where we learn tools and techniques to take care of ourselves whenever we feel stressed. So, our theme for Friday is self care. So, I would like to invite you to take a moment right now to check in on your own emotions, get in touch with your feelings. Only by labeling our feelings can we get in touch with our well being and to know if there is any unmet needs that we should be addressing. So at this point, I'm going to share with you a feelings wheel. Take a look at this feelings wheel and pick a feeling from the outermost side circle that best describe how you are feeling right now. Okay, so today our guest is Vasanthi Pillay, who is the director of Innergy, Ayurveda and Yoga Private Limited. She is also the founder and the president of the Ayurveda Association of Singapore. If you have, I hope you did not miss our part one series, which was 2 Fridays ago, where we touch on holistic health with Ayurveda. So Vasanti's keen interest in Ayurveda was sparked in 2001 when she personally experienced the benefits of Ayurveda and yoga in healthcare in the area of prevention and management of diseases. She has delivered talks and workshops in Singapore and Asia for MNCs, tertiary institutions, and government boards, such as like Morgan Stanley, Singapore National Library, Malaysia Medical Association, uh, Nanhua University in Taiwan, and Hong Kong Academy of Neuropathy. Vasanthi also sits on the academic committee of the Hong Kong Academy of Neuropathy and has also been awarded the Dharma Award for Excellence in Promoting the Scientific Awareness of Ayurveda by the Association of Ayurvedic Professionals of North America. And I will leave it to Vasanthi to share more of herself with you. So please help me to welcome Vasanthi. Hi,
Thank
Vasanthi,
you.
welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me, Joy.
Okay, so last week we talked about Ayurveda with holistic health, and today we are going to touch on Ayurveda and Prana. So to start it off, perhaps you can share with us what does Prana means?
So, prana is a Sanskrit word, and it means, in simple layman's term, life force, right? It's life energy, it gives us life. So, if you look at the Chinese word, you use chi, right? The Japanese use ki. So, prana is something that sustains the body as well as sustains the whole universe. So, it comes from the Sanskrit word pra, ana. So, combined together very easily, you can just say it's life force. It acts as
Mm,
a bridge between the mind and the body.
okay, thank you for sharing, Vasanthi. I know that you have prepared some content that you want to share with us today. So where should we start?
So maybe we can start with the prana as being the entire universe, right? So if you look at some of the ancient texts, they say the whole universe is vibrating and the vibration originated from prana. So prana does not necessarily only mean breathing because it also exists in the soil. So you don't need the nose. Soil doesn't have nose, right? So prana exists in
Mm,
the soil, it exists in trees, it exists in the universe. And
mm.
we sometimes, as human beings, think that we are the center of the universe. Whereas Ayurveda says, no, we are not the center of the universe because you need this whole spectrum of beings, including worms, including beetles. You know, as much as I don't like to admit cockroaches, but
Uh, objection.
I know every being actually has prana in it, right? So prana is so when we do pranayama in yoga to enhance the prana within, to expand the prana, we actually utilizing the prana from the universe, right? So we say the mother universe. That is why when we, even people are surprised that Ayurveda is also has a great discussion about environmental science, because Ayurveda is all about life, not just human life. If we do not take care of the trees, we do not take care of the plants, we do not take care of the biodiversity, then we are going to be eventually affected. And Ayurveda has, even believe it or not, something called Vriksha Ayurveda, means Ayurveda of all plants and trees as well, right? So there's so many components of it that the one that people are just focusing on is just treatment, herbs, and just the oil pouring on the head, but it covers the entire spectrum.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So even if you look at the word spirit, right? We use the word spirit so freely, mind, body, spirit, and all. And if you look at it, it comes from the Latin word breathe. I didn't know this until, one of my Ayurveda teacher, mentioned, and I went into the Google search and realized that actually, yes, true. It comes from the word breathe. So when we are breathing, we are actually borrowing the intelligence from the universe. Now, Ayurveda and yoga recognizes that there is innate intelligence in the body, in the universe, right? If you look at the plant, when it withers, you add some water, it just grows naturally. Human body, when we have a cut, naturally it heals, right? So there is an innate intelligence. The sun knows when to rise, where to set. Actually, the sun is not rising and setting where the earth is moving. But all these things that's happening around the universe, there is what we call the universal intelligence. And then at the body level, there is that body intelligence that is innate within us. So when we breathe in a conscious way, the normal breathing, we are breathing unconsciously. But when we are breathing consciously, we are borrowing the intelligence from the universe. And interestingly, a lot of ancient texts, they have so much of a wealth of information on all this prana. And what I like is there was a very simple story where even in the human body, all the organs, like there are different parts of the organs, and we also need prana for survival. So these organs all has deity, right? Like they have like the god, the sun god, the moon god, and all different deities are in charge of different organs. And these deities were all talking and saying who is more important. Then the lung said, I am more important. If without me, all of you will die. Then the liver goes, no, 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 I am more important because without me, the security, you guys are going to die. And then the stomach said, no, if without me, there's no food digestion, you all are going to wither and die. And prana was just listening silently to all this quibble, 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 everybody being very egoistic and fighting. And then prana decided slowly it will leave the human body. When prana started leaving the human body, all the other organs realized, oh my God, we need you for our survival. So then the story goes that all the others said, thank you very much. We recognize that you are the most important. So it's so cute that what I really like about ancient texts is something that is so deep and profound. They can also have like a simple story to make us understand the depth of it, that even little children will understand the importance of prana.
That's a very cute story.
Yeah. So, if we talk about just prana at the body level, yoga divides the prana into 5 parts, but it's not like there are 5 components, but more so functional purpose. There's a prana is all over, but for functional purposes, the prana that allows for the breath to come out, prana that allows for the breath to go in, prana that allows for gestation, prana that circulates the blood and all. So prana is a life-giving force. Prana is the one that moves everything. So that's why prana is given so much of importance in that sense. And in yoga, they talk about bodies. Again, we human beings can get very arrogant and very egotistical, thinking that this is who I am. Ayurveda and yoga says, no, this is not who you are. It says that actually the body is something, I think I mentioned this briefly in my previous video. The body is known as sharira. Sharira in Sanskrit means that which continuously degenerates. So this one is continuously degenerating. It is not something that's going to be there forever. So the moment I know this is something that's continuously going to degenerate, then I will become a little bit more aware of this body that is not going to be there forever, right? Yes, I need to take care of it. I need to do everything to make sure I sustain it so that I can experience what I need to experience in the human world. But I'm also aware at the back of the mind that this is continuously degenerating. So this is known as the gross body. Now, Ayurveda Yoga, they talk about 5 bodies that we have. So we have gross that we can physically see, and we have subtle body. So the eyes, for example, belongs to the gross body, because when the body is dead, when a person is dead, the eyes cannot see, right? Even though the organ is there, but the sight is not there. So the sight actually belongs to the pranic level. At the prana level is where the sight belongs. So you can have the eye organ, we can have the nose organ, but the prana is the one that actually moves all this. Otherwise,
Mm.
the body is just known as a tool that sustains that prana and all the others. So prana is known as the subtle body, and then we have other subtle bodies. I won't go in depth of it, but the five bodies are the gross body, the prana body. The mind is also considered as a body. Now, again, the word body, English is very limiting. All right, it is called sharira, or a covering, or a layer. All right. So the prana body covers the gross body, the mind body covers the pranic body. Now it also distinguishes between the mind and the intellect, right? So if a person is even, it's very interesting that the language, the Tamil language, I would like to know in Chinese language if you have that. When I am sad, we say in English, I am sad, I am depressed. But in Tamil language, we will say, my mind is sad, my mind is depressed, my mind is confused. So there is that detachment. So when
Mm.
you have the detachment, my mind is depressed, there's something that observing the mind. Then we have this inquiry that then goes to what we call the buddhi, or the wisdom body. Then the wisdom will step back, because we are uttering the word which goes into the ear and say, my mind is depressed, my mind is confused. Then this wisdom body will step back and say, okay, why? What is bothering? What can I do? What is the cause of this? So there is this layers which I think is really very fascinating, which I personally do not see in many science, being discussed in many sciences, you know. And even when we are having an argument, right, in families, when you have an argument or somebody is saying something, the other person, instead of saying you are mad, the comment will be, your mind is confused right now. They will say, oh, has your intellect gone crazy? So that way a person will not feel, oh, you think bad of me, you think low of me, that attachment is not there. So separating the five bodies, you can see that the mind falls right in the middle. You have the physical body, you have the pranic body, you have the mind, right? So the mind controls both. And if you look at the prana, which is the next between the mind and the physical here, the prana is very important for balancing the mind. Prana is important for balancing the body. So if I'm stressed and all, I'm breathing very heavily, I'm very fast. So the prana in the middle that is breathing fast affects the body, right? So if I take a slow, deep breath, somebody will say, okay, now take a deep breath. When you take a slow, deep breath, it balances the mind, right? So all of them are interconnected. There's no like demarcation between the five bodies. They are all what they say, they're totally interconnected. But for the purpose of study, sometimes we separate them and then see how
Mm.
they operate. And then we bring them together to see where the issue may lie and when we can start teaching pranayama and all those. Is it
Mm.
deep, interesting, or
Mhm. Yeah, it makes sense. The body and the mind is interrelated, but we've been very fond to take the separate the pieces, examine them in detail, which is all good. But sometimes maybe we forgot the big overview that actually they all work together and they do have some influences on one another. It does change the dynamic, and that's why I loved what I loved about Ayurveda is that it also considered that very important piece how everything comes together and how it influences one another on top of its individual functions.
yes, yes. And what's also amazing is it recognizes from day one we are part and parcel of the universe. So when we look at pranayama by itself as part of the yoga teaching or even Ayurveda, they say prana has three components: the inhalation, the exhalation, and the holding of the breath. All right. So the inhalation is the Sanskrit word is puraka, meaning full. Exhalation is rakchaka, right? So you are releasing it. And then there's the holding of the breath. That's called sthiti, right? You just have to just remember inhalation, exhalation, and sthiti. Now, what I found very interesting is some of the ancient texts also use the same term for creation and destruction of the universe. So they say the inhalation is equivalent, the exhalation is creation of the universe, right? Holding of the breath, the kumbhaka, the word is also known as sustaining the universe.
Mm.
And inhalation is actually withdrawal of creation. So the entire universe also has that inhalation, exhalation, and holding of breath. Holding is where the whole universe is sustaining. And when I read this, Joy, I just started thinking about the whole epidemic. You know, the universe has to breathe. Who knows, maybe right now it's the universe turn to breathe. You know, it has to take its breath in. It has to take the breath out. I mean, I'm just very philosophical here. When I read it, I just like stopped in my track and I went, oh my God. And that was, I must say, a very useful lesson for me because my fear just went off like that. Everybody was fearful of COVID in the beginning. When I read this, I said, okay, look, the universe has given us so much. It has given oxygen. It's not asking anything. It is not taxing us. The government is the one that taxes, but the universe doesn't. It continuously gives and gives and gives. Now it's its turn to just take back. Maybe it's taking a deep breath in. That is my interpretation, right? And I think it is very lovely when we see it from a big perspective rather than just saying that's only one perspective.
That's definitely a very new perspective that I've never heard of with regards to our pandemic, and it's also quite a more cheerful version, I guess, of what how we've been interpreting what's going on out there. If you see it as just the universe taking a chance to take a breather, then I think there's much to be hopeful for.
Yes, yes. So just give it time that it's now breathing in. It'll take its own time for, you know, exhalation. So that will happen as well.
So I guess in
And
the meantime, we just remember to inhale and exhale ourselves.
yes, yes. Just also Ayurveda and yoga, they are of the view that the faster we breathe, the more the cells destroy, the faster the cells, the body cells destroy, right? So we have the anabolic and catabolic rate, right? Anabolic is the cell rejuvenation, the cell production, more cells. So when babies are growing, you will notice that the body cells are growing, right? There are more body cells. And the babies actually, when they're sleeping, you will see that their stomach goes up and down.
Mm.
Now, it's not that they're breathing from the stomach. This is called the full lung breathing. You're breathing using the lung to the fullest capacity, the upper lobe, the middle lobe, and the lower lobe. So when the lower lobe pushes down, the stomach comes up, right? So the diaphragm, so the baby is lying down. This is the diaphragm. So the diaphragm pushes here, the stomach organs come up. So that's why some people call it the abdominal breathing or stomach breathing. The air is
Mm.
not going into the stomach. The air is going naturally to the lower part of the lung, right? So this is called the full breathing. And another word of it is yogic breathing. So yoga breathing or yogic breathing is using your top, your middle, and the bottom, including the sides. All right. So the lung to the fullest capacity, inhale and exhale. Now, when that happens, the body is in an anabolic state. More cells are rejuvenated and all. Now, when we breathe very fast, stressed or like that, then it's leading to what they call a catabolic rate.
Mm.
So then there's this, whatever I'm telling you is all from sharing, right? From different books and all. So one of the yoga teacher was saying that if you look at a mouse, the mouse breathes very fast, but the lifespan is so short. But when you look at an elephant or a tortoise, their breathing is very, very slow and they live up to 100 years, right? So when we start breathing slowly, then we can extend our lifespan. That's the yoga philosophy.
Wow. So when we start breathing slowly, we can extend our lifespan. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, that's when we talk about being conscious. So that then becomes the difference between breathing and pranayama. So people ask, what is pranayama the same as breathing, right? I'm breathing fast, slow. If I'm stressed, I'm still breathing. And breathing is more using the organs, the nose, right, for breathing, or the mouth. But if you look at a baby that's a fetus in a stomach, in the mother's womb, even before the mind comes in, right? Even before the body is fully developed, prana is there already. Prana is the one that's allowing that egg, the fetus, to start having the hands and all. So prana is existing even before the body parts come in. So there's no breathing yet. The baby doesn't breathe until it comes out, right? So prana is not the same as breathing. We are using our nose as a tool to allow the prana to go in, do its work, and come out. All right. So
Mm,
in class, yoga class, when we do breathing exercise, so let's say I take my hand, I extend, and I do things like that. Then I'm working on my lung. So it's very therapeutic, expanding my lung. Whereas pranayama, the word pranayama is actually prana ayama, extending the prana. Some people use the word control, but control sometimes can have a negative connotation. What they mean is mastering your prana. You become the master of your prana, not
mm,
control, because controlling gives the idea of suppression. So I do not like to use the word control. So pranayama is to expand the prana, is to extend the prana beyond. And when you see some of these, say, Chinese kung fu, right? You will see the kung fu teacher, like, he's fighting and then the enemy is coming from behind, but he knows because his prana is extended. That's the pranic body. So this is my physical body. So my pranic body is extended to that level that when someone touches the pranic body, the teacher can feel it. So he turns around. Do you understand? That's how the kung fu fighting of the prana, they also extend the prana through their own way of pranic energization.
mm. Okay, so before we move on to the practical part of how to do it, I know you're going to walk us through some exercise. You have a story to share about everything happens for the ultimate good.
Yeah, actually, this one my mother told me when I was 15 years old. That's about 10 years ago. So, okay, you didn't catch that. Okay. No, when I was 15 years old, my mother played a very huge role in my spiritual influence. She used to share a lot
Mm,
of this ancient story. And she said that there was this story of a king and a minister, right? The king and the minister were so very close. And whatever the king does, he will always consult the minister, right? So always dependent on the minister. And the minister always will utter, everything happens for the ultimate good. That was his mantra. Anything happens, he will say, it's for probably the good, it's for the ultimate good. So one day, the king accidentally chopped off his toe, right? The whole toe was chopped off and he was bleeding profusely. And then the minister was there, the doctors were there trying to heal and, like they're trying to put bandage around. The minister looked at the king and he said, it's probably for the good. And the king got so angry. How dare you? Here I am suffering in pain, and you're telling me this is for the good. And he told the guards, send this minister to jail, put him in jail. I don't wish to see him anymore because I'm suffering and it says it's for the good. So that left, and few days later, the king's toes healed and all. And then weeks later, the king went hunting on his own. So he went hunting and then he went deep into the forest and he was caught by a group of cannibals, right? Cannibals are people who eat people. So they caught him and then they decided they're going to eat him. They tied him to the tree. They did all the prayers and everything. They were just going to chop off his head when one guy went to the chief of the cannibal and whispered something into the ear. And then the chief said, okay. Then he looked at the king and he said, release him, let him go. The king was shocked. He said, "Why? I thought you guys was going to eat me." And then the chief of the cannibal group said, he said, "In our culture, before we eat, we will offer the body to the god, but you must be intact. We notice your toe is missing. Because your toe is missing, we cannot eat you. So you're free to go." The king was elated. He just, was so happy, got back on his horse, went back to the castle, and he said, "You know what? What the minister said was true. Everything is for the good. Release him. I want to see him." So the minister came, the king apologized profusely and said, "Look, I'm terribly sorry. You are right. It was for the good. It saved my life. But tell me one thing. You were in jail. How was that good for you?" What do you think would have been his reply?
Maybe if he's not in jail, he would have went on the trip with him. He would be the one who would be sacrificed.
Exactly. He said, "If I had not been in jail, I would have gone with you. My body is intact. I would have gone." So that then also is a story that always have been there at the back of my mind. Even when it came to COVID, I know a lot of people are losing job. I know so many things are happening. People get very stressed. People do get, I know it's not that I have not gone through all this. But sometimes we just have to step back and say, okay, maybe in the bigger picture, I don't know what's happening, right? I can tell you so many stories for me where at that point in time, it looked like a challenge, but few weeks, few days, few months, and even years, I sat back and I think, oh my God, I'm so glad that happened, because if it hadn't happened, this would not have, the positive things wouldn't have happened, right? So sometimes, having all these stories will really help. And I feel for young children, these kind of little stories will give them that courage, that confidence, to move on in life and have a certain grounding. So the COVID, as sad as it is, and it's not in our control, that which is not in our control, sometimes we just have to let go.
Hmm. That is an incredible story about the king, and I think a timely story as well for us to think about. Despite what might seem on the surface terrible, there's always some blessings that can come along with it, something that we can think about. And I think part of the whole process of healing and part of self-care is the ability to reframe what you're thinking in your mind, your thoughts, so that the thoughts are nurturing you instead of limiting you. So thank you, Vasanthi, for sharing that story. So let us dive into the practical aspect about the prana breathing with the awareness at the back of our mind, how this relates to um, helping and supporting our brain. Since this is a whole brain and healing show, would you be able to share briefly how our breath work would be able to support our brain functioning?
Sure. So prana, if you look at the whole brain, if we see from a scientific point of view, we have the autonomic nervous system, we have the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right? Sympathetic is something that is fast, that's activate, all right, contracts, and then parasympathetics relax. So they both go hand in hand. Now, when we are constantly stressed, whether it's emotions, whether it's grief, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whatever it is, sympathetic is more activated. And when the sympathetic nervous system is heightened and activated, we are then unable to allow the parasympathetic to come and act in and do the relaxation, right? So sympathetic in layman term is known as fight and freeze, all right, or even freeze. Parasympathetic is known as rest and relax in layman term. So we are not giving the body a chance to rest and relax. So there is one pranayama, a breathing technique that is known as the mother of all pranayama. It is called the alternate nostril breathing. And in Sanskrit, it's called Nadi Shodhana. Nadi is the invisible channels in our body. Shodhana is cleansing. So we are cleansing all the invisible channels so that there will not be any blockages. And then we allow for the ease flow, the flow of the left and the right. So Nadi Shodhana affects both the left and the right side of the whole brain of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Now, would you like me to show you how it's done?
Yes, please. That's my favorite breathing technique.
Okay, okay. Now, again, whenever you do breathing technique, it has to be done with awareness. When it's done without awareness, it becomes normal breathing. It's not pranayama, right? So the way you would position your finger would be your thumb and your fourth finger, your thumb closing the nostril of your right nostril, fourth finger closing the left nostril. All right. So this is how you will alternate between left and right nostril. Shouldn't be sticking the finger up the nostril, right? It's just closing gently and gently, right? I think because the video is mirror image, it's showing. If a person is left-handed, they can use the other side, the thumb closing here and right. It doesn't matter which side you start breathing on. Doesn't matter. Different schools have different thought. So the first way is first to exhale completely from both nostril. Once you have exhaled completely, use the thumb to close the right nostril and inhale from left. So you inhale, close left, open right, exhale. Then inhale from left, close left, open right, exhale. This becomes one cycle. But while we do it, we have to be in full awareness, bringing our awareness within ourselves. And when we do this, we are inhaling, following the breath. So I follow the breath, inhale up to the point of my between the eyebrow point here. So inhale up to here and then release your thumb, exhale. Slowly, deeply, gently. The breathing should not be like that. It should be very deep and regulated. That is the key. All right. Then exhale and then slowly inhale, close, open, exhale. And a person should do as slow and deep according to their body's capacity. Never do it fast, never do beyond your capacity. And some schools will ask you to hold the breath. The safest path is not to hold the breath. All right? So when you inhale, don't hold, then exhale. The reason we say that is the safest path is because in a math class, if I'm teaching and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath and I count 5. If some people cannot hold on to 5 breath, that can then lead to problem, right? So there is a saying in pranayama teaching and in that classical text, when pranayama done correctly, it can help you, it can heal you. But when pranayama done wrongly, it can actually cause disease. So pranayama done correctly can eradicate disease. Pranayama done wrongly can cause disease. So for that reason, we do not teach holding of the breath. Now, once the student is used to it and they want to hold according to their body's capacity, that's fine. You have certain ratio number to follow. I would rather not do that because then that becomes very technical. But to play safe, anybody wants feeling stressed, very emotional and all, this one technique, it's called the mother of all pranayama. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, one cycle. Now you should do it on empty stomach. Very important. All pranayama should be done on empty stomach because pranayama slows down the metabolic rate. So if you have food in your stomach, it will not be digesting the food. So it causes more problem. So pranayama always on empty stomach. So either do it in the morning before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, or you could even do before going to bed. This is also gives a very good restful sleep.
Vasanthi, can you recap again, just in case in the first round people were trying to observe you, so maybe they can do it properly this time with your guidance?
Okay, so do you want me to like give instructions so that everyone is doing it at the same time? Okay,
Mm.
so close your eyes, feel the awareness between your eyebrow, feel the awareness in your nose region, bring your awareness to your throat region, bring your awareness to your heart region. Just relax, mentally prepare to do pranayama. Position your hand, exhale completely from both nostrils. Now gently use your thumb to close your right nostril. Inhale from left, close left, open right, exhale from right. Inhale from right, close right, open left, exhale from left. Now again, inhale from left, follow your breath all the way up the left nostril, between your eyebrow, and gently release your breath from your right nostril. Exhale from right. Now inhale from right, bringing your awareness between your eyebrow. Close your right nostril. Exhale from left. Breathe normally. Slowly open your eyes. So, this technique, ideally, if they can do this, 24 rounds to 29 rounds will be good. However, because of time, maybe we just say start with 3, but it has to be done with awareness. No point doing 24 rounds, 19 rounds. If your mind is not there, if you're thinking, okay, I'm breathing, what am I going to make for breakfast? My children are all here, it's not going to work. So, better to do just 3 rounds with full awareness than 25 rounds or 29 rounds or 27 rounds with thoughts all over the place. We can also do this while you're sitting in the train without using the finger, then close your eyes, just bringing your awareness. So you don't without using the finger. So you're inhaling through the left, exhale through the right, inhale through the right, exhale through. So your awareness is moving. That can also be done.
If
Instead
you
of
don't use your hand, it's a
can.
bit challenging, right?
Yeah,
To breathe
it's
with just
challenging
one.
because the human beings are so used to always being on the phone and playing. So if we can sit back, so this becomes more challenging. You are right, only for people who are constantly on the external. Now, even if you can try one breath, holding, just observing the breath, both the breaths are going to go in, all right? But the awareness is one side. It doesn't mean the this side will close. It will, you are breathing in normally, but the awareness is here, and then you exhale, the awareness is here. Inhale, exhale. And that's what I do sometimes when I'm just sitting in the train, instead of being on the phone all the time. That will be useful for people as well.
When you mentioned when you inhale and you inhale all the way to your eyebrow, so are you talking about like visually or literally breathing? I guess there's some element of imagination going on.
Actually, we don't want imagination to play a part. It is more feeling. So you can, when you place your finger below your nose, you exhale. You can feel the hot air coming out of the nose, right? So when you exhale, you can feel that. So it is a feeling. So feel the air going in, feel the vibration, feel the sensation. That's what we would say. Because when we
Mm.
start visualizing, then the mind will start wandering.
Mm. I think that's a really great point. So ideally, it's 24 to 29 rounds. That's, I guess, going to be one kind of a mission for me because normally I only do 3 rounds. I've been doing it every day. I've loved this technique ever since I learned about it, which is some years ago, but I think only recently, thanks to Vasanthi, I coming back to doing my alternate nostril. What I personally loved about this technique and why I like it so much is because there is this sense of exhilaration that it's hard to explain that I get. There is this sense of well-being with that feeling of exhalation where I guess because there's a lot of oxygen, suddenly flooding into my system, it does give me some kind of a mental high. And I think it helps me whenever I feel stressed, like before I need to go on Facebook Live, I can just do those breaths. Or when I'm just feeling stressed, thinking about the sheer amount of workload I have, and again, I can just stop in a moment and just do 3 rounds. So I think 24, 29 sounds intimidating, but just think of doing 3 every day. And when you are ready, then do 4 rounds. And then when you're ready, do 5 rounds. So I think let's not stay at the number 24 and just get overwhelmed even before we get started. I think 3 rounds is a great starting point.
Yeah, so just to qualify, that because where I learned my yoga, it's from S. Vyasa, and the teacher there used to do a lot of research. So they found that when you do 27 rounds, it does have a lot of physical, mental, emotional impact, very high level, right? So with students sitting for exams, medical students sitting for exams, they did the before and after, they did control group, people who didn't do pranayama, people who did pranayama. So the results were very different. All right, there was a huge difference in result. They also do this for cancer patients, right? Not to cure them, but to give them quality life. So this is known as the mother of all pranayama. So because his
Mm,
research number was 27, and he said 27, when you do, it's up to that limit, but not everyone has the time. That was in an ashram, people were in that scientific group, they did it. So in my class, we usually do 5 rounds, right? So in my class, when I teach, we do very slowly the few pranayama class, we do first the cleansing breathing, the yogic breathing one by one. And this one, we do at least 5 rounds with the students. I will show them first, and then I say, I leave you to do another 3 more rounds according to your body's capacity. And then you just sit still and observe what's happening. So 3 will be very good for beginners. And if they can at least go to 5 a day, huge effect you will see. But the key is awareness. Better to
mm.
do 3 with awareness than 5 without awareness.
So when you 1 round is basically one on each side. That quantifies one cycle.
No,
Yes?
start,
No?
no, not one on each side. This is not one cycle. It's up, down, up, down. So I start on right, I left on
Okay.
right
So,
side.
oh yes, yes. So you come back to the same side, and that's one cycle. So the goal is to do 5 cycle. Would you recommend doing it standing or seated or lying down?
Has to be seated. Now, if someone is very tired, they want to lie down, yes, they can lie down and do. People who are, some of my students have insomnia, sleep issues. Then we say, okay, why don't you sleep? Maybe put a pillow there. Just do that if you need a hand, right? Keep doing it, and then they fall asleep. They've always improved quality sleep after that. But if you're practicing as a start of the day, it's always best to do it seated. Your back has to be straight but not stiff, right? So when we are sitting at the back like this, it should not be like that. The chin should not be down. So there should be like a straight line, an alignment, right? So there should be like a line, straight line, very relaxed, shoulders collapse, right? Then just sit. If you're sitting on a chair, then the feet should be like 90 degrees, the leg, the thigh, the leg, and the feet, right? The feet flat on the ground, not like that, right? So position yourself, hands on the lip. If you can put that your fingers like this, right? Not the Amanda Holden who always does that for America Got Talent, but this is actually Chin Mudra, right? You're circulating the prana back to you, right? So they say that the end, you have all these nerve ending. Instead of releasing the prana, letting it go out, you're bringing it back into your own body, right? So letting it circulate. So do keeping like that, or like this on your lap will also be good.
Okay, wow. So that's definitely a very practical, simple exercise you can do anywhere in the house so long as you won't be disturbed. Something that will definitely help support your well-being and help not just the brain, in fact, every part of the body. So this is really the mother of all pranayama technique. A must try for everyone. Do it once, twice, see how you feel about it. Very, very handy too in the even in the moment that you are feeling stressed, something happening in the moment you're feeling that rush of negative emotion, perfect technique that you can apply immediately. Even if you have to excuse yourself go to the toilet. So I highly recommend our audience, please try it at least once or twice and also share it with your family and friends. Share it with your kids so that they know how to manage themselves when they feel stressed or when you know they're alone in school and you're not there and they can't come to you for support. Any advice that you can give Prasanthi when it comes to teaching children how to do this alternate nostril breathing?
Good question. You see, because there are pranayama done correctly is good for the body, pranayama done wrongly is not good for the body. I would say right now, maybe parents first try themselves, right? Make sure they can do it correctly. If they have any questions, I'm sure they can write to you, or there's a way of connecting either with you or me, and then we will make sure that do it correctly. Once I know how to do it correctly, that's when I'll start teaching the children, right? So don't just take it. Adult, they first need to feel comfortable. They need to know, must have it, must do it before meals, not during meals, right? Must be very relaxed thoughts, right? Or they can do it together where the parents can actually guide the kid, but the parent first need to know how to do it. That would be my advice.
Okay, send all the more parents. Let's get started. So make sure you try it yourself, practice, and I think that if you need any support, you can feel free to contact me, and I can refer you to Prasanthi. Or stay tuned for our upcoming course where we will be including Ayurveda into our training programs as well. So, any last word of advice you want to give to our audience?
Oh, just prana is something that you can even have for food. I know now people are all worried about organic food and all. Before eating, right? This I will also be touching in the next class. Just sit down quietly, appreciate the prana within you, appreciate the prana in the food that you're getting. I know, since the foods, people call it dead food or what, just thank the prana, say thank you very much for giving me this food, thank you for being in my body, thank you for sustaining me, and then eat that food. And parents who are with children, and eat in a very quiet, peaceful environment. That would be something also enhancing the prana in you, enhancing and exchanging the prana from the food.
Wow, that's a lovely piece. So prana with food as well, not just the breathing technique itself. So I think really again going back to your own mindset, your own frame of mind. I think gratitude is always definitely a very powerful life force in and of itself.
Yes, yes, it is. It is.
Okay, so at this point, I am going to share with everyone this upcoming course that we have, which is called The Strongest Self. And this is a course where we will teach you how to develop your character strengths and also look into your well being using a positive psychology framework. And this is a short video to share with you about the Strongest Self course. Well, what can I say? Time flies when you are having fun with someone knowledgeable in what she's doing. And it's been an hour, Vasanthi. Can you believe it? That we've been
Thank
chatting
you, Joy. Thank
about
you.
Ayurveda and Prana. So, share with us what you would be sharing in the part three of our Ayurveda series, where we would be talking about Ayurveda and holistic nutrition.
Yes, okay. So Ayurveda talks about body type, but instead of that gets a bit too technical. People will want to know their body type. I will talk about the generic, about the holistic aspect of eating, how to cook, what to eat, when to eat, why to eat certain type of food, and to have a better understanding of Ayurveda nutrition. That will be the area that I'll be covering the next series.
Awesome. That'll be another real treat for us. It's not often that you get access to such information about Ayurveda and holistic nutrition. And on top of it, I also have to share this exciting good news. And this is relating to She Network, and we're opening our community in a Facebook group on Monday, 10th of August. So that will be the She Network community, our launch day on Monday. And we have an panel of experts. They'll be sharing exclusive content every month based on their area of expertise. And naturally, we have Vasanthi as our in-house expert for holistic living. So you want to share a little bit about what you'll be sharing inside the She Network community?
Okay, so I do conduct a lot of training, yoga teacher training, Ayurveda workshop on cooking. A lot of people don't seem to, either it's just yoga or Ayurveda, but I will be combining both. So, like for what body type, what type of posture is good, what type of breathing is good, and then what food is good for which body type. So, a step by step for different series, we will just cover some very good programs in that area.
Wow, that is amazing. I can't wait for your content already inside our She Network community. So, for all of you, if you find this very useful, very practical tips, do not just catch the next episode where we talking about Ayurveda and holistic nutrition. Join us. If you are a woman, you are welcome to join the She Network community Facebook group where you get monthly free content from Vasanti, and this is going to go a long way in terms of healthy living for you and your family. So do join us, the She Network community. We will see you on the launch day on Monday. Thank you, Prasanti, for always being so generous with sharing your knowledge with all of us. I really appreciate you coming on the show and doing this three-part series with me.
Thank you, Joy, for having me. It's really, really a pleasure. I'm happy to share. Really happy to share.
Okay, so we will see you 2 Fridays from now for Vasanti Part 3 Ayurveda series. And now we're going to end the show on a high note with our super powerful. Thank you everyone for watching. Till the next episode. Take care. Bye.
Bye.